Hello, this video is for IXL Activity A1.D.5 Percent of change, and they are indeed word problems. And the 3-character code for this activity is 59er Victor. So it says that Chloe's salary used to be $237,870. After changing the amount of time she works, she has begun earning $142,722. By what percent did Chloe's salary decrease? So percent of change problems, they do have a formula. That formula does involve a fraction, so let's go ahead and put a fraction bar in here. And our denominator is always going to be the original amount. So I'm going to use OA for original amount. And in this case, our original amount is the $237,870. Now our numerator needs to be a positive number, and this is for a decrease. So we're talking about whenever we have a decrease. So if we're going to have a positive number here, we're going to have to subtract from the original amount. We're going to have to subtract the new amount. And I'm going to use NA for new amount. So we have the original amount minus the new amount. And whenever we work all this out, it's going to give us a percentage, and which is the answer that we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and move this to the side because I want to talk about what if we have a increase. Increase is just a little bit different. Move that over here. If we have an increase, it's also going to be a fraction. So let's get a fraction bar here. Our denominator is still going to be the original amount. So put OA down here. And again, this is for an increase. So we'll do INCREASE. So what if we have an increase? Well, for a numerator to be positive, if we had an increase, and that means the new amount is going to be greater than the original amount. So we would have to take the new amount and subtract from it the original amount. And once we work all this out, again, that would give us a percentage of increase. So let's move this over to the side as well. Group all that. Let's move that over here and just kind of use that as a guideline for decrease and for increase. Well, in this case, her salary has indeed decreased. So let's go ahead and plug everything in we have here. So in the numerator, we're going to have the original amount, $237,870. And we're going to subtract from that the new amount, which is $142,722. Our denominator has to be the original amount, so that's $237,870. And this would equal a percentage whenever we get done. So this is going to give us our answer that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and make a little bit of room here. We'll move this up a little bit. Now let's go ahead and find the difference of 237,870 minus 142,722. So 237,870, subtract from that 142,722, and we get an answer of 95,148. Oh, back. 148. And we now need to bring down our denominator of 237,870. That was our original amount. Now, whenever I divide the 95,148 by the 237,870, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, divided by 237,870, and I get an answer of 0.4. Then 0.4 is a percentage. Move that decimal over 2 places. We would get 40%. So it is a 40% increase. So in review, if it's a decrease like we have here, we're going to subtract the new amount from the original amount, then divide by the original amount. That'll give us a decimal number that we change over to a percentage. Whenever we get to something that's an increase, we're going to go the other way around. Subtract the original amount from the new amount so that we get a positive number in the numerator, and then we'll divide by the original amount, and again that too will produce a decimal number that we can then convert over to a percentage. So let's go ahead and move along. In an effort to protect the environment, John is trying to get citizens of his hometown, Hillsborough, to waste less water. A study indicated that they wasted 86,430 gallons of water last year and 95,073 gallons of water this year. What was the percent of increase? So this time we have an increase in the amount of water wasted yearly. So let's first consider what is our original amount. Our original amount is this amount up here, 86,430. This is our new amount over here, 95,773. So we're going to take the new amount, 95,073, subtract from that the original amount, 86,430, and then we're going to divide by the original amount, which is 86,430. So let's go ahead and find the difference between the new amount and the original amount. So I have 95,073. I'm going to subtract from that 86,430, and that's going to give me a difference of 8,643. Now bring our denominator down, 86,430. I see some very similar relationship between these two values. They're the same number, only the denominator has a 0 and the numerator does not. This is going to work out to 0.1, 10%, but just for the fun of it, I'll go ahead and divide the 8643 by 86,430, and indeed, that's going to give me an answer of 0.1. Now, as a percentage, move the decimal over 2 places. It's going to give me a 10, and throw a percent sign on the end, and I'm going to have a 10% increase, right? Next problem. Seth, a lawyer, used to charge his clients $290 per hour. Recently, he reconsidered his rates and ultimately decided to charge 30% more. So this is going to be an increase, right? R-E-A-S-E. So we're going to use the increase formula here. Now, how much does Seth charge per hour? So this is our original amount here, and this is our new amount here. So we're going to go ahead and call it a new amount. We're just going to call that X. Well, we know that to get a positive number in the numerator, that we're going to have to subtract the new amount from the original amount. So the new amount we'll call X minus the original amount, 290. The original amount is our denominator. That's 290. And what we do know is the percentage, 30%. Well, let's go ahead and write this 30% as a decimal, 0.3. So now we're going to have to use some algebra to solve for X. Well, we have a fraction on the left. Best way to get rid of a fraction, multiply by the denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides by 290. And I'm going to write 290 as 290 over 1. What I do to one side, I want to do to the other side as well. The 290s are going to cancel each other, leaving us with just the numerator portion of X minus 290 equals, and then 0.3 times 290 is going to give me a value of 87, or a product of 87 to be exact. Now I need to add 290 to each side to get rid of this 290. What I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other. 290s will cancel each other, leave me with just X. And 87 plus 290 equals 377. 377. So we know that the new amount, what he charges per hour now, is 377. Now, there's another way we could have done this. In this case, what I want to consider is the original amount, 290. So if I take 290, if I were to multiply it times 100%, what would I get? Well, 290 times 100% as a decimal is just 1, right? With a decimal over 2 places, we get 1. And 290 times 1 is 290. So we wouldn't have any increase. It would be the same amount. But we know we want to increase it by 30%, so we must need to increase it by another 30%. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and add to 100%. Let's add 30%. and we'd end up with 290. It's not a very good 290 times 130%. And that would give us our new amount. Now let's change the percent over to a decimal. 290 times, and I'm going to get rid of the dot and just use parentheses. 130% as a decimal, move the decimal over 2 places, we get 1.3. So if I multiply 290, multiply that times 1.3, I would get, indeed, 377. So you can see how this route is a little bit easier. Actually, I would realize, okay, I need to not only increase it by 30%, but I need to increase it by 130%. 130% as a decimal is going to be 1.3. So I just multiply the 130% or the 1.3 times the original amount, and that's going to give me the new amount of 377. A little bit easier than using the formula over here. Next question. The Springdale Times had 5,200 subscribers last year. This year, after the paper was bought out, it had 63% fewer. How many subscribers were there this year? So here's the original amount. This is the new amount. And we have a decrease, so the number's going to get smaller. It means that we have to take the original amount, subtract the new amount, divide that by the original amount, and that's going to give us the percentage. Let's go ahead and plug our values in. The original amount we know, 5,200. We're going to subtract from that the new amount, which we're going to just call X. And we're going to divide by the original amount, which is 5,200. And that's going to equal percentage, in this case, 63%. And we're going to write that as 0.63. It's just changing 63% over to a decimal, 0.63. Now again, best way to get rid of a fraction is to multiply times the denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides by 5,200. And whenever we do that, the 52s will cancel. Now it's just going to leave me with the denominator of 5,200 minus X equals 0.63 times 5,200 equals 3,276. Now, the next thing to do is get rid of this 5,200 here. So let's subtract 5,200. What we do to one side, we need to do to the other. 5,200 is going to cancel each other, leave me with minus X or negative X. And 3,276 minus 5,200 is going to give me a negative 1,924. Now let's multiply both sides by -1 because we can't have a negative X. We need a positive X. So I'll multiply both sides by -1. That's just basically going to turn them both positive. And so we see that the new number of subscribers is 1,924. If you're thinking, there's got to be an easier way to do that problem. Indeed there is. You don't have to use the percent of change equation. We can actually do something different. Here's what that something different is. So they're losing 63%. So what are they getting to keep? Well, if we talk about 100% and they're losing 63%, well, 100 minus 63 is going to give me 37. That means they actually get to keep 37%. So let's take the original amount. We will multiply it times the percent that they're getting to keep. And that's going to give us our new amount. So our original amount is 5,200. They're going to get to keep 37%. We're going to write 37% as a decimal, 0.37. And that would give us our unknown value of X, which is our new amount. So let's do 5,200 times 0.37, the percentage that they get to keep. And we're going to get 1924, the exact same answer. A little bit easier here than it is over here. All right. A French restaurant used 468,280 ounces of cream last year. This year, due to a menu update, it used 30% less. How much cream did the restaurant use this year? So here's our original amount, and we need to find the new amount. So let's go ahead and take that original amount, 468,280. We're going to multiply it times a percentage. Instead of how much they're losing, it's how much do they get to keep. So 100% minus the 30% is going to give us 70%. So they get to keep 70%. 70% as a decimal is 0.7. And that's going to give us our new amount. So let's take 468,280, and we will multiply that times the percent they get to keep, which is 0.7, and so that's going to give us an answer of 327,796 equals X, which is our new amount. So now they use 327,796. A lot easier than using the percent of change equation. Cindy received money from her relatives every year for her birthday. Last year, Cindy received $80. This is our original amount. This year, she received 25% more, so this is going to be an increase of 25%. How much did she receive this year? So this is our new amount that we're wondering. We're going to call that X. So in this case, we're going to take the original amount. We're going to multiply it times 100% plus the amount of increase, which is 25%. And this is going to give us our new amount. So our original amount is $80. We're going to multiply that times 100 plus 25 is 100. Back, 125% equals X. Now we want our percent as a decimal, so we're going to do 80 times 1.25. Just move that decimal over 2 places, right? Drop the percent sign, equals X. Now 80 times 1.25, well 80 times 1 is 80. And then 1/4, 0.25 is 1/4. 1/4 of 80 is 20. 80 plus 20 is going to be 100. If you want, you grab your calculator, type that in, check my math, but I'm pretty sure of that one. So 100 is the new amount that she receives now. Here I put 2 questions on the same slide because these 2 questions are not going to really require any calculation at all. Let's go ahead and read. Last year, the average monthly revenue at Lowell Times newspaper was $90,250. This year, the average monthly revenue so far has been the same amount. What is the percent of increase in the average monthly revenue? Well, it didn't increase and it didn't decrease. So the amount of increase in this case is 0. There's no increase, there's no decrease. It is the same amount. So you get a question like this that asks if it's the same amount, what is the percent of change? In this case, it's 0. Now you could plug all that into the percent of change equation and you're going to get the same answer of 0%. On the next one, it says, Ted played 171 consecutive games of soccer without being taken off the field. Then, after a single game on the sidelines, he played another string of consecutive games. Although this string was 0% longer, how many consecutive games was that? Well, if we increase 171 by 0%, now don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, I need to multiply 171 times 0 and get 0. That's not the case. In this case, there's no increase, no decrease. The percent of change is 0%. So if there's no change whatsoever, he played another 171 consecutive games. Here we have Miguel. He's a sophomore at Brookfield College. Last year, tuition was $3,800 per semester. So this is our original amount. This year, he paid 4.2% more. So this is going to be an increase. How much was tuition this year? So this is our new amount. So since it's an increase, we're going to do 100% plus 4.2%, right? It's going to give us 104.2%. That's the amount of change that we need. So let's take that original amount of 3,800 and we're going to multiply that times 104.2%. Let's change that to a decimal now. Move the decimal over 2 places. We get 1.042. So 1.042 is our value we wish to multiply by, and that's going to give us x, which is indeed our new amount. So 3,800, going to multiply that times 1.042, and my answer is 3,959.6. And this is money, so throw another 0 on there. So you don't put that 0 on there to represent dollars and cents. IXL will count it as incorrect. So $3,959.60. 0.60. Does our answer make sense? Did the number increase? Yes, it did. 3,800 to 3,959.60. So it's a little bit higher, and likewise 4.2% is just a little bit more. So indeed our answer makes sense. Final question. Last week the members of a weight loss support group collectively weighed 3,160 pounds. They just weighed in again and are now 3% lighter. What is the group's current weight? So our original amount is here, 3,160 pounds. We have an increase of 3%, and we now want to know what is the group's current weight. So this is going to be our new amount that in our equation we'll refer to as x. So our original amount, 3,160. I want to increase that by 100% plus 3%, which would give me 103%. Let's move that decimal over 2 places. 1, 2. That's going to give me 1.03. So that's our value we wish to multiply by, or not 1.3, but 1.03. And that's going to give us the value of x, which is our new amount. So 3,160, we're going to multiply that times 1.03, or 103%, and that's going to give us a value of 3,254. Oh, 54. That's if they get heavier. Notice what I just did? My answer didn't make sense. I ended up with a number that was greater than what they started with, and they're actually lighter. So let's go back, right? I could edit this out, but I guess that's a really good way to show, oops, the answer doesn't make sense. I must have done something wrong. So let's reevaluate this. They're actually getting lighter, so they're losing 3%, which means 100 minus 3, they're actually keeping 97%, right? So we want 97% as a decimal. That's 0.97. So this is the number we wish to multiply by. So let's go back to our original amount, 3,160. Let's multiply that times 0.97. And that's going to give us our new value of x. So 3,160. Multiply that times 0.97. And that's going to give us 3,065.2 equals x. And it says round to the nearest tenth. Well, our answer stopped at the tenth, so we don't have to worry about what to do with that 2. We know that's going to stay the same. So 3,065.2 pounds. All right. So those are all of my examples for IXL Activity A1.D.5 Percent of Change word problems. Good luck with your activity.